welcome to the MCDFNL Footy Show Preliminary Final Edition, the second last one of the year, and a big show we've got for you today. We're going to look back at Berry Power Medal Night. We've got a junior segment with Trent Mortlock from the Natty Bialaba Football Netball Club. We've also got all of the reviews and previews from the weekend's MCDFNL action. We'll start by introducing my co-host, Sam Gowers, live in the studio this week. Welcome back, mate.
I'm back.
You were here last week, though, of course, as we know, with the Sam Gowers highlight reel, which has had phenomenal feedback during the week. Just some absolute gold coming through from that.
It's gone viral, hasn't it?
It does indeed.
Got some royalties from that, actually.
Not happening at all.
Oh, righto.
I know that the phrase "waste of league resources" was thrown around. So
By me.
Yeah, by you, but we beg to differ because we all thought it was amusing.
Glad you did.
And every one of the 100,000 people watching thought it was amusing as well.
Is the footage of you and Scott playing finals on this week?
Yeah, there is. We can get footage. It'll be old footage.
Yeah,
But
very old. Neither of you.
speaking of which, how did you go on the weekend?
No, we lost.
How did you go on the weekend?
Poorly.
I've heard worse than what we saw on the highlight reel, which is kind of hard to fathom.
Yeah, it wasn't a great day for anyone from Natty, but yeah, let's move on.
Talk more about that later on because the operations manager of the MCDFNL joins us, Scotty Carey. Scotty, welcome back, mate.
Thanks, Sean. Good to be back.
I must admit, you're stepping up at the right time of the year. You're a proven finals performer and you're doing it once again.
Told you that last week. I wouldn't have been sitting on the pine like Sammy did on the weekend.
Doing very well indeed. Let's have a look at the weekend's action and the semi-finals from the MCDFNL. On Saturday, it was the first semi-final, Navarre versus Natty Bialaba. And as we spoke about last week, Scotty, Navarre went into this game almost friendless, which is pretty weird considering they finished second on the ladder. There's only the one tipster that tipped Navarre. It was you, so give yourself a pat on the back because you got the selection right. Navarre 15-11-101, defeating Natty Bialaba 10-9-69. Ben Scott back into the Navarre side, kicking 4 goals on the weekend. Nick Murphy bagged 3 and 2 each to Josh Folkes, Ash Driscoll and Chris Brennan. For Natty Bialaba, the Wiz was their leading goal kicker. Ryan Weir with 3 goals on the weekend. Matthew Stagg kicked 2 and Mark Fitzgerald kicked 2 goals as well. Best for Navarre, Tickner, Driscoll, Scott, Redding and Josh Folkes. And for Natty Bialaba, Zach Perez returning to the side and getting the BOG honours on the weekend, along with Stephen Ross, Chris Jardine, David Miles, Ryan Weir and Dean Greco. Boys, talk to us about this one, starting with you, Sammy. From a Natty perspective, what went wrong?
I just ran out of leaks in the last quarter. As you can see from the scoreline, it was pretty even at three-quarter time, and Navarre just ran away with it in the end. Natty just couldn't find a mark up forward, and Navarre could. That was the difference.
The inclusion of Ben Scott back into the Navarre side, Scotty, it was kind of glossed over during the week. Everybody was more focusing on the fact that there'd be no Parkin, there'd be no Bigmore in the side, and who they lost. But Scott to come back in, that's a key inclusion.
Absolutely. He's had a fantastic year and showed that at the Berry Power earlier in the week, mate, and straightened him up, and 4 goals is a good effort.
It is indeed. Really good win by Navarre. Gets them into a preliminary final, which we'll discuss later on against Carisbrook. It's probably the game that many thought would be the grand final going ahead, but much like the AFL, we've seen a loss in the first week of the finals that kind of wasn't expected, so it sets up our grand final match that we wanted as a preliminary final match, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, Scotty.
Nah, certainly not. It'll be a very good game, and yeah, I've got no idea who'll win that.
We'll talk more about that shortly, though. Firstly, we're going to look at the semi-final between Lexington and Maldon. The first semi-final played on Sunday, and Lexington rebounding nicely to win their way through to a preliminary final. Lexington 18-8-116, defeating Maldon 13-9-87. Matthew Brown, 6 goals for Lexington. Again, bloke comes on the footy show, performs the next week. It's a proven thing. We'll talk about it in a minute. I had blokes coming up to me on Monday night at Berry Power saying, when am I on?
Hasn't really rubbed off for me this year, but...
Yeah, but that's because you're terrible.
Sorry.
Rob Moseby also 4 goals for Lexington. Daniel Chester 2, Riley Brown 2 for the Tigers on the weekend for Maldon. Matthew Kyle kicked 3 and Jacob Fitzpatrick kicked 2 with their only multiple goal kickers. Best players for Lexington, Templeton, Pryor, Brown, Phelan and Moseby. And for Maldon, Chaffey Jones, Conway, Kane, Shawnee Birchall, Hayden Kelly and Wayne Bell. Lexington on the weekend, a completely different Lexington side that took to the field against Carisbrook. Jimmy Templeton back into the side, Damon Asplin back into the side, and Brown and Moseby doing their Batman and Robin thing up forward that they've been doing all year. They look completely different to that Carisbrook game, Scotty.
Yeah, that's right, mate. They got their runners back, and they were probably too quick for Maldon. The first quarter was probably the closest, and the rest of the game, Lexington really had Maldon at an arm's length. So very good win and gets the confidence back up coming into a prelim final.
How important is it to have someone like a Robbie Moseby in that side going into a game against Newstead this week that can get to the feet of a Matty Brown in case marks do come down, because Brownie's going to have a difficult day against Mark Ramsey. There's absolutely no doubt about that. So if you've got someone like Moseby that can get to the feet, even a James Morrish or someone like that can get to the feet, really important this week, Sammy.
Yeah, like Brownie said when he was on the show the other week, Jay Robbins had been doing that sort of role for Lexington over the last couple of years. He's obviously gone this year. Robbie Moseby's come from the midfield, gone up forward and been really important for him.
Yeah, he has indeed. So important, in fact, that they've led them into a preliminary final against Newstead this weekend, and I think that's the third time I've tripped over preliminary so far, so I might actually physically pronunciate it out rather than just mumbling through it, Scotty. What do you reckon?
Good idea, Sean.
Very good idea indeed. Let's look at the netball semi-finals as well. I nearly went early on that one as well. And again, continuing the trend for Natty Bialaba of defeats on the weekend, unfortunately. They got rolled by Newstead 35-28 in, I suppose, what was a bit of an unexpected loss, Sammy, given that Natty finished the season in third spot. Unfortunately got bounced in straight sets in the finals. Jasmine Coleman, Amanda Guthrie and Jess Deneath, the best players for Newstead. Ash Edwards, Ingrid Hopkins and Naomi Medlin for Natty Bialaba on the weekend. And it was the first quarter did this game in. It was 12 goals to 5 in the first quarter, Newstead's favour. The rest of the game was tied at the scores were tied at every break. 7-goal win in the end. The slow start by Natty's basically cost them their season.
Yeah, in any sport it's going to be hard to make up that sort of gap when you let it slip so early, and I think Natty'd be pretty disappointed with that, but Newstead have bounced back really well. We know they had that slow start to the year and they've come good at the right time.
They have indeed. They'll work themselves into a preliminary final as well. And the other semi-final, Scotty, played on Sunday was an absolute ripper. Lexington taking on Carisbrook 40-38, a 2-goal result. Lexington getting their way through in what was a fantastic game all day. Lisa Donhart, Julia Coates and Sarah Fisher, Lexington's better players. For Carisbrook, Brogan Richards, Shayla Bandy and Beck Lovett, their better players. Rachel Phelan back into that Lexington side. Sheridan Byrne, who won the Nolda Tracy Trophy on Monday night, not playing in the Carisbrook side, made a huge difference.
Certainly did. You all laughed at me last week when I tipped the draw in this game too, and I nearly pulled it off too.
Yeah, well, Nilly's not pulling it off, so we're still laughing at you.
Still a better tipper than you, Shawnee, so we'll go with that. But yeah, Rachel Phelan back in, 21 goals is a good effort and probably got him over the line in the end. So a very good semi-final and sets up a good prelim this week.
Yeah, it does indeed. Speaking of the Berry Powell Medal Nolda Tracy Trophy night, Scotty, pretty good night, Monday night, 360-odd people in attendance at the Maryborough Highland Society and a pretty successful night.
Certainly was, mate. Massive crowd and they all behaved well, which was good. So it was good to
except for
celebrate.
A few peanuts, but you get a few peanuts in any crowd.
Yeah, it's probably Matthew Tyler.
Yeah, I was going to say
honest,
Matthew Smith's name there. So
he had a good night by all reports. So it was a good night and good way to celebrate all the individual performances throughout the year.
It was indeed. The Nolda Tracy Trophy, as we just mentioned, the A-grade netball best and fairest, going to Sheridan Byrne, her third Nolda Tracy Trophy with a great season. Runner-up Jess Parry from Navarre and third place Jess Williamson also from Navarre. A great season by Sheridan and capped it off nicely with the trophy win.
Yeah, another good win by Sheridan. Everyone that's spoken this year said she's been fantastic in every game, and she polled a lot of votes on the night. I think it was 32 votes for the count. So
yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of votes and a very good effort. She'd be disappointed she didn't get there on the weekend and the season's over, but move on to next year.
Yeah, let's have a listen to Sheridan's acceptance speech after being announced as the Nolda Tracy Trophy winner, as I mix up my words once again. Doing well today. Let's have a listen to Sheridan's acceptance speech at Berry Powell Medal Night.
Cash Leary. 2 votes Denali, Carly Downs. 3 votes Carisbrook, Sheridan Byrne.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the 2013 Nolda Tracy Medal is Sheridan Byrne from Carisbrook with 32 votes. Second from Navarre, Jess Parry, and in third place from Navarre, Jess Williamson. Sheridan's now a 3-time winner of the Nolda Tracy Trophy, having also won the award back in 2006-2008. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner from Carisbrook, Sheridan Byrne. And if we can have our runner-up as well in Jess Parry, please, from Navarre. Well done. We'll get Robin to present the awards.
I never even picked up on that.
Gee whiz, I didn't think I'd be standing up here tonight at all.
Carisbrook girls had a great season. Unfortunately, we missed out yesterday. I couldn't be there, but bad luck girls. I heard you played awesome, a great comeback. Well done to Lexington and the rest of the netball teams that are still in the finals. Congratulations to Jess, you had a brilliant season and you're fantastic to play on. So well done and thank you very much.
Sheridan Byrne from the Carisbrook Football Netball Club and her acceptance speech after winning the Nolde Tracy Trophy. The other main netball award on the night, Scotty, the Funky Fitness Netball of the Year, thanks to the Maryborough Advertiser, won by Jess Williamson from Navarre. A fantastic effort by Jess.
Certainly was, and they've proven in the actual Nolde Tracy Trophy count as well, coming in third. So good effort by Jess, and hopefully they can have another win on the weekend. They
can indeed. And the Berry Power Medal, of course, Sammy, what an exciting count it was. Matthew Belton from Carisbrook, the 2013 Berry Power medalist. Congratulations to Matthew. A fantastic season. Everybody had him as favourite going in the count. In fact, we put a poll on Facebook leading into the night to say who do you think will win, and we had an answer come back saying Belton by 168 votes, which didn't quite eventuate. In the end, it went down to the last round. Belton got two votes in the last round to defeat one of your teammates, Mark Fitzgerald from Natty Bialaba, who I believe sat out that final round too through injury.
Yeah, he did sit that one out. He just had a little bit of a crook knee, and I know Fitzy would probably rather win a flag than an individual award, so that wouldn't worry him too much. But yeah, Matty Belton the favourite and got up. Probably a little bit closer than everyone thought, though.
Yeah, a lot closer than everyone thought. Belton shot out to an early lead, and Matthew Smith from Talbot as well actually got out to an early lead, which was probably part of the reason why he was hooting and hollering all night, because he was going quite well in the count. They ended up finishing third, but well done to Matthew Belton on not just winning the Berry Power medal, but also the Lyle Eel Stores Footballer of the Year from the Maryborough Advertiser. So really good night for Matty there, winning that one from Daniel Christmas from Newstead and Damon Aspland from Lexington. So pretty good night. Unfortunately, Matty wasn't in attendance on the night, but Luke Tracy, his coach from the Carisbrook Football Club, accepted the Berry Power medal and trophy on his behalf and had a few words to say about Matty on the night. So let's have a listen to what LT had to say about his teammate.
Okay, yeah, I'll try and make this short and sweet again, but on behalf of Matt, it's a fantastic effort, a well-deserved a grandstand finish, but certainly a well-deserved win. We're really excited for him. He's had a terrific season, as mentioned. It's fantastic when all football clubs around this area can get their local players and their juniors back to the club, and certainly one that's as outstanding as Matt, so we're rapt to have him. He's had a terrific season, as evidenced. Yeah, and again, we're very, very thankful that he just snuck over all that last game. So I'm sure he couldn't be here tonight. He gets his hair permed pretty regularly. So he's working away in Geelong, and he was pretty happy to stay there, I think. So whether he thought he was a chance, but certainly he would wish everyone else well done. Certainly to Fitz, you had a terrific season, and it was a close count with all the other top polls, so well done there. To the other award winners, a sensational season from many people, and yeah, finals is what it's all about, team sport, so we wish you all the best there, and certainly hope Matty's resting up and puts in a big one this Saturday. So on behalf of Matthew, I'd like to thank the league sponsors. Stewie, you do a fantastic job with Bendigo Bank. To the league, the league's in a great place at the moment with all the exposure, and certainly it's onwards and upwards. So to Scott and the boys and ladies involved, congratulations on a well-run league. Hopefully I haven't forgot anyone, and this does justice to Matt on a terrific season. So congrats, Matt, Bill.
Luke Tracy from the Carisbrook Football Club talking about his teammate Matthew Belton, the 2013 Berry Power medalist. Time to talk some junior footy now, boys. Scotty, we're going to kick you out of the studio for a while. We're going to bring in Trent Mortlock from the Natty Bialaba Football Netball Club to have a bit of a chat about the under 17.5 games going on this week, the preliminary finals, how the season's gone. We're going to talk about one of his Natty Bialaba teammates as well, I think, that might just be sitting between you and I at the moment, and just seeing if some of the footage we saw last week is actually fair dinkum kind of stuff.
I got a feeling it will be. It was pretty damning, that footage last week, so we'll see what Jen has to say.
There's a Peruta film of the football world, the Sam Gowers highlight reel, but let's bring Trent Mortlock in, have a chat about all things junior footy right after this. Welcome back to the MCDFNL Footy Show. Time to talk junior footy, in particular the under 17.5 competition leading into the last couple of weeks of the final, Sammy. And joining us is one of your Natty Bielaba teammates, Trent Mortlock. Trent, welcome to the Footy Show, mate.
Thanks.
Good to have you on. Obviously, your season finished last weekend in the reserves in the under 17s the weekend before, so free agent at the moment. So we thought we'd get you on and have a bit of a chat about what's happening in the junior age groups.
Sounds good.
Very good. Let's have a look at last week's under 17 semi-finals, starting with the second semi-final played on Saturday between Newstead and Avoca. It was Newstead 14-14-98 defeating Avoca 6-3-39. Expected result, Trent. The winner now plays Carisbrook in the preliminary final this Saturday. Talk to us a little bit about Newstead and Avoca's season so far and what it was that got Newstead over the line in this game.
Newstead had a fairly good season. They're a quick running team. They use the footy really well.
Yep.
And they got a good midfield with a few good forwards down there. They got a bit of height as well. Avoca have struggled at times. They got 3 or 4 good players that are key ball winners, and I would have expected Newstead to win by a little bit more, really.
Yep. No, a good win by Newstead. We'll talk about the preliminary finals shortly, but the other semi-final, the first semi-final, played on Sunday. Denali taking on Maldon. It was Denali 9-12-66, defeating Maldon 3-3-21. Denali, we know they're a star-studded side. They've got the league best and fairest Justin Laird and the runner-up Matthew Gibbs in their side, and they did a pretty good job against Denali, holding them just 3 goals for the day against Maldon, but the Maldon side with a few senior players in there, Tommy Horn and Nick Kelly amongst them.
Yeah, Maldon have a decent side. I went with Tom the Cans, and he's a really good player, good left foot, and uses the ball really well. Denali, I thought they would have won by a bit more. Their kicking let them down. They butchered the ball a fair bit, but yeah, it was a good result for Denali in the end. They wouldn't have been expecting to play this weekend. They've been pretty arrogant all year, so yeah.
Nice, that's what we like. Don't sugarcoat it. Just straight down the barrel and just play with the full face of the batter, right? I like that very much. Let's have a look at the under 17.5 preliminary finals this week. Firstly, on Saturday at 11:30am at Princess Park, Carisbrook taking on Newstead. How do you see this one panning out, Trent?
Carisbrook beating Denali the other week. They'd be going in pretty confident, but I reckon Newstead will run over the top of them by 50 so points. 50 odd points. I like this, man. I like this honesty.
Very
this is
confident,
honesty
isn't
we
he?
don't normally get on this show because everybody just tries to not offend anyone. Just get out there and offend as many as you can, I say. Speaking of which, here's another chance to do so. Under 17.5 first preliminary final, Navarre versus Denali, 11:30am on Sunday at Princess Park. Denali top of the ladder all season though. Can they make it through to the grand final against a pretty strong Navarre side?
I hope they don't. I hope Navarre get up, but I can't see it happening. Denali win by 20 or so points. I'll be too quick for him.
So you're tipping a Newstead Denali grand final?
Yes, unfortunately.
And which way do you reckon you see that going?
Denali should win, but it wouldn't surprise me if Newstead ran over the top of him in the end.
Very good, very comprehensive, and just taking the big stick out. I like that. Talk to us a little bit about your season, mate. You played obviously in both the 17s and the senior grades, the 2 senior games, and of course playing in the reserves as well at Natty during the year. How was your season personally?
Average. I broke my nose, fractured my back. It was a good fun year. Went to Cairns, and yeah, the 2s couldn't get it done on the weekend, but we had a good season. It was good fun and good heap of new faces around the club, so it was good to get to know them.
Best on ground in the first elimination final for Natty Bielaba as well with 3 goals, and I know your mum was trying to tell me all about the hanger that you took on the day as well, which I must admit I did miss. I was on Gowers Watch that day, so I missed your work, but pretty good performance in that regard. Speaking of Sammy Gowers, what's he like to have as a teammate?
He's plays pretty tight on his man, so his man doesn't get a kick very often, although they outrun him quite often. And
Speedster. The slowest bloke.
Yeah, I'm pretty slow myself, and but no, he's good, funny at training and that, and
Funny?
good fun.
Are we talking about the same Sam Gowers? Funny.
Occasionally.
I was going to
It's funny
say,
when-
every joke
when
he's
we-
tried this year has fallen on deaf ears.
It's good fun hanging crap on teammates.
Yeah, good. Like it. Also, I believe that there is a nickname floating around the club that I got a whisper about on Monday night at the Berry Power Medal night. Something about the glove or something like that.
Yeah, it's because his man doesn't get very far from him. He normally keeps him pretty close to himself.
Very good. Trent, thanks for joining us, mate. Good to get a look at the under-17 half competition and kind of an honest assessment on where you think a couple of clubs are at. Thanks for joining us, mate. I was going to say best luck for the season, but there is nothing happening left, so best of luck for the rest of your work experience week here at MCDFNL HQ, mate, and hopefully Scotty Carey doesn't work you too hard.
Thank you. It's been good fun.
Thanks to Trent Mortlock from the Natty Bialaba Football Netball Club. It's time to talk at this week's senior football and netball preliminary finals. We're going to drag Scott Carey back into the studio, and we'll be back right after this with all of the previews for this week's big games. Interesting night, getting around a few of the boys at the end of the night. Lockie Edwards came up to me and in no uncertain terms said, "Why haven't I been on the footy show yet this year?" And I said, "Well, Lockie, there's still a couple of shows to go." He said, "I'm only a phone call away." I said, "Well, big grand final edition coming up next week. We'll get as many on as we can, and I might just make that phone call as well during the week." So a few people just inquiring about things during the night. They loved the Sam Gowers highlight reel. Got a lot of feedback about that, as we mentioned, Scotty. So really good night at the Barry Powell. Rodney Hogg, fantastic guest speaker as well. A very last-minute addition. Unfortunately, Matty Scarlett double-booked himself, as we found out on the night. So getting Rodney Hogg in on the last minute was a bit of a masterstroke because he was very good.
He was very good. He had a crack at himself a lot of times. If anyone wants a laugh, head to YouTube and just type in Rodney Hogg. You'll see one of the funniest dismissals in Test cricket.
What was it? Hogg holding 1984.
I think that was about right, Shawnee.
Yeah.
So just take a look at that on YouTube and it'd be a very good laugh.
Don't do that until after you finish watching us, of course, and then go to YouTube after that. So have a look at that. But a fantastic night for the 2013 Barry Powell medal. Boys, time to talk preliminary finals. I got it right that time as well. Huge weekend of action this weekend across Saturday and Sunday at Princes Park as we try and find out who's going to play in the biggest show of the year in the MCDFNL, of course, being grand final day. Let's have a look at the tail of the tape, starting with the netball, Scott Carey, on Saturday, the first preliminary final day at Princes Park. 13 and under netball at 9:30am, Maryborough Rovers v Avoca. 15 and under netball at 10:30am, Harcourt and Royal Park. 17 and under netball at 11:30am, Harcourt v Royal Park. C-grade netball at 12:25pm, Natty Bialaba v Navarre. B-grade netball at 1:30pm, Avoca versus Denali, and the A-grade netball game at 2:35pm, Navarre versus Newstead. Going to be a cracking game, Sammy. Navarre, as we know, have been the best side all throughout the season. It showed, as we said, on Barry Powell medal night with Jess Parry and Jess Williamson taking out the minor placings on the night, and they'll go in very, very confident they can win through to another grand final. But Newstead, riding a wave of form at the moment. They've come through in 2 close finals so far. They'll fancy themselves that if they can get a jump on Navarre like they did against Natty on the weekend, that they'll be able to go fairly far and really give Navarre a scare.
Yeah, I still think Navarre are probably too good. Like you said, they've got Jess Parry and Jess Williamson, who did very well in the Nolda Tracy Trophy. Taylor Mason also took out netball
Rookie of the year. Yep.
And pretty hard to beat that sort of combination, I think. So Navarre for me.
Scotty?
Yeah, I think Navarre should win. It was a close game earlier in the year against Newstead, and they have become the smoky of the finals in the A-grade netball. So we'll be very close, and do get over and watch this game. But I think Navarre should just get over the line.
Yeah, I'm tipping Navarre as well, but if for some reason Newstead do get through this game, they'll win the grand final. So I'll go kind of sitting on the fence there, but if Newstead can beat Navarre this week, they'll take that momentum through and they'll win the grand final. So
not many sides do it from the bottom half of the 8, Shawnee, but that's a massive call, and I guess we'll see what happens.
We will indeed. Having said that, I'm picking Navarre to win the game, so it's obviously it's a bit of a. I'm having a bit both ways, so to speak.
Sitting on the fence.
Very much so.
Very high fence.
Remiss of us, as Sammy said before, to not mention the netball rookies of the year. Congratulations to Taylor Mason from Navarre and also Caitlin Douglas from Harcourt on winning the Rookie of the Year award for the 2013 season, as judged by the coaches. Fantastic seasons by both players. The Football Rookie of the Year we'll talk about shortly because he's going to take place in a football preliminary final as well on Sunday. Or will he, given that he came off injured in the semi-final last week? We'll discuss that shortly. First semi-final day, under-12s Avoca v Carisbrook, under-15s Carisbrook versus Navarre with the great Brandon Weatherson leading the way as coach. Happy birthday to Weather, who turned 21 during the week. Congratulations to you, Weather. You've turned 21. You've only looked 20 years younger than what you're only 20 years younger than what you look now. So congratulations on that. And Sammy, some interesting information travelling out of the Weatherson camp that may have escaped my attention until you brought it up today, regarding, of course, the hamstring.
The infamous Weather.
The hamstring.
The infamous Weather hamstring. Paddy Jeans actually let slip on Monday night that Weatho may have done the hamstring again.
No,
Again.
not again.
He survived somehow. He's still alive.
How does he do it? Because he's retired from all forms of sport.
Was he trying to get back up for the weekend, Sammy, or was it
Junior training.
Junior training.
Under 15 training.
He's pulled out a kick in the drill and just grabbed that. Paddy, that's beautiful work by you, bringing that to Sammy's attention. We'll keep going though. Under 17 football, Carisbrook versus Newstead. You heard Trent Mortlock take the big stick out to both of these sides earlier in the show. Reserves, Navarre v Newstead in the senior game. Carisbrook versus Navarre, 2:35 p.m. We thought that this would be the grand final. We're not ashamed to say that. Earlier on in the season, the teams that finished 1 and 2 on the ladder, and what it's going to make for Scott Carey is a pretty interesting preliminary final.
Certainly is, mate. Been 2 close games throughout the year, I think. Both under 30 points to Carisbrook's way. Couple probably should come back into Navarre's side. The rest may help Carisbrook freshen up a little bit. I don't think they had too many injuries anyway, so they'll be fresh and ready to go. Tip-wise, I'm going to have to stick with Carisbrook, but not by much, probably only 20 points.
Hard to tip against Carisbrook at the moment. Sam Gales, 2 questions for you. Carisbrook, we know the form they're in. What do Navarre have to do to stop them?
I don't know if they can be stopped, Sean. Anyone that saw that final against Lexington a couple of rounds ago would tip Carisbrook for the flag, I'd say. So I'm going to stick with them and go by Carisbrook, 32 points.
Second question, Navarre's lineup. We've heard a whisper that they may be going in at full strength this weekend, which full strength includes Zane Bigmore and includes Daniel Parkin. There's some really big whispers going around that Parko, who had a fractured cheekbone, not a displaced fracture, but suffered a fractured cheekbone in the qualifying final loss to Newstead, will play this week.
Yeah, it's a pretty big hit that Parko cop. We've seen him come back from injury before in 2011. He came back and played the grand final, even though he had that crook ankle. But if he played, I'd be very surprised.
I would too. Look, Newstead throwing everything at this one, Scotty, to try and get through to the grand final. You wonder if, by doing so, they're going to spend their cards a week early. They could do it. It could pay off this week. But if that's the case, how would they look for 7 days' time? We've seen it before where teams play their grand finals a week early.
Yeah, look, I suppose you take that on the chin. The hardest part is getting to the grand final.
Correct.
So you do all you can to get there, and then you've got to ride your luck a little bit. So, I'd be doing the same thing. I'd be putting all your guns in and having a crack at it.
Yep, going to be a great game on Saturday afternoon. Get down to Princes Park, 2:35 p.m. Carisbrook versus Navarre. On Sunday, first preliminary final day, start with the netball, 13 and under Denali v Talbot, 15 and under Natty v Avoca, 17 and under Natty v Carisbrook, C grade Newstead Lexington, B grade Lexington Newstead, A grade Maldon versus Lexington. Lexington have recovered after their qualifying final thumping. They take on a Maldon side that they defeated a couple of weeks ago in the A-grade competition to get themselves back into that top 4, Scotty. Although Maldon did not have Beck McKnight playing that day, who's been fantastic all season.
She certainly has. She polled a few votes as well on Monday night. I want to go Lexington, Shawnee. I think they've just found a bit of their mojo back the last couple of weeks. Good win on the weekend over a pretty strong Carisbrook. So they've been there before. I think just that little bit of experience, a bit of nerves might set in for Maldon. I'm going to go Lexington in a very tight one.
The young side in Maldon, Sammy, against the very experienced Lexington. Which way are you leaning?
I'm going to go with Maldon. They've sort of been a bit of a surprise packet this year. No one tipped them to probably go this high. And I think they'll just be a bit too quick for Lexington.
Yeah, look, I'm leaning towards Maldon as well. They've had a fantastic season so far. I think they can keep that going for one more week at least. Football preliminary final time. Under 15s, of course. Under 12s, only the one prelim final this week, Scotty. They play, of course, the top 6 systems. So we've already got Campbell's Creek through to the grand final. Avoca taking on Carisbrook on Saturday, of course, to see who's going to play against Campbell's Creek. On Sunday, it's the under 15 second preliminary final, Trentham versus Avoca. Under 17.5, Navarre versus Denali, which, as we heard, if Trent Mortlock gets his way, will end in a 0-0 draw. Reserves, Lexington v Carisbrook, and in the seniors, Newstead versus Lexington. Preliminary final. Pretty good game coming up here. Lexington getting a bit of their mojo back, which of course was taken from them after that qualifying final loss. And Newstead, they've had the week to rest things up now. They've had the week to... A few of the blokes that had the niggles throughout the season, the Sammy Kerrs, have had an extra week to get themselves right and ready for this game, and they'll come in firing.
Yeah, Ethan Ford's got over his jet lag too by the sounds of it, so This is going to be a fantastic game, Shawnee. I think Newstead should get over the line. It may come down to the start from both sides. If you can get a jump and get a couple of goals up, that's probably the best way to do it. I suppose both sides will probably be hoping for a fine day as well as they get their outside runners hitting up the forwards. So, yeah, I'm going to go Newstead by probably 17 points, Shawnee.
Both teams play a similar style of game, Sammy. They've got, obviously, key defenders. They like that outside running kind of midfield combination. They've both got key talisman up forward to kick to as well. Very similar game style, obviously. Some of the matchups, Daniel Christmas... Does Michael Jennings have the height to go with Daniel Christmas, or do they throw someone like a Jordan Phelan back? And then at the other end of the ground, it's almost a given Mark Ramsey versus Matthew Brown. However, Rambo's been played pinch hit up forward in the last couple of games as well for them.
Yeah, I think we'll see Mick Jennings go to Christmas straight off the bat. He's played on him a couple of times before and done a reasonable job.
Yep.
At the other end, I'd expect to see Ramsey on Brown for a start, and then maybe swing Ramsey forward if Christmas is struggling.
Yep, no, it sounds good. And who are you tipping, please?
I'm going to go with Newstead by 2 goals.
Why?
I just think they've been the better side this year, plain and simple.
Perfect explanation by you. I think Newstead as well, setting up what this table thinks will be a Carisbrook versus Newstead grand final. But we'll wait and see. Finals footy is a funny game indeed and can throw up all sorts of unexpected possibilities. That's our preliminary final show done and dusted for this week. Whatever you do, next Thursday, get around the MCDFNL website. Our grand final show is going to be something special. There's absolutely no doubt about that, Scott Carey. We'll have a couple of chats about it already during the week. We've got a couple more. We might plan some special kind of stuff going into this one, do you reckon?
Absolutely, it's going to be a massive show. I'd put aside a good 30 minutes to an hour, I reckon, next Thursday, Shawnee. We'll probably a few special guests.
Yep.
Lockie Edwards might get a call up as a special guest
Special guest panellist.
Yeah, it could be a panellist. Might have to get his hairdo redone though, I think, before we get that in. But
Yeah,
we'll see how we go. But massive show, Shawnee, and we look forward to seeing everyone next week.
Sammy, thank you for joining us in the flesh this week, mate. Unfortunately, we couldn't quite take as much out of you as what we did last week, but it was good having you here, and at least we could do it to your face.
Oh, it's wonderful to be back. Just great.
Pleasure having you here. Pleasure having you watching us as well, folks, and we'll see you next week for the MCDFNL's grand final edition of the Footy Show right here on the MCDFNL website. We'll catch you then.